I'm Gloria Maggio for Pitt Community College English as a Second Language program. So what happens after ESL? When you reach a certain level of English that you feel comfortable with and you want to further your education, where do you go? Well, your first stop is inside this building at the PCC Global Office. Students often ask, what's next? What do I need to do to finish the ESL program? When can I attend regular classes at PCC, or when can I go to ECU? And the person with the answers to all of those questions is Ms. Jan Fisher, who is with us this morning. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Gloria.
You may know Ms. Jan Fisher because she is the ESL program coordinator, and you, of course, are in charge of all the testing. Now, every semester we talk with our students about all the various tests and assessments and what they mean and what they need. Can you explain those to us?
Right. The first test that most students will start on is the CASAS test. This is the ESL test, and there are 6 different levels, beginning through advanced, and this measures the reading, and we also measure listening skills. After a student tests out of CASAS, then they have a choice to stay in the program, and we put them on a TABE test. If they score under 9th grade, they can continue to be in the ESL classes, and we're working on reading, writing, speaking, and listening, and they can remain in the program to work on those goals as well.
Now, I know when we give tests, a lot of times we're all in the same room, but everybody's got a different color test, and our students often ask, why don't I have the same test as the person next to me? Can you explain that?
All right, we have 6 different levels of the CASAS test. And so they're beginning through advanced. And a student will progress through the different levels, a pre-test and a post-test. And so even though they're sitting in the same classroom, they're on different levels based on the tests that they were placed with.
Now, you mentioned with the TABE test that the student is no longer on an ESL test, but yet they can still be in the ESL program. How does that work?
Because we only are measuring the reading, but there's reading, writing, speaking, and listening. Those are the components for mastery of a language. So even though they qualify for our classes based on reading, they might really need to be working on their writing or their listening skills, and so they choose to remain in our program. As long as the program is beneficial to them, we recommend that they stay with us because our classes are free, and we can help them specifically as a second language learner.
And of course, the best way to study for any of these tests ahead of time is just to show up to class every day, right?
That's right, because then they're immersed in the language, and every day they're improving their skills, and then that way they're going to progress more quickly.
Now, another good reason to stay in the ESL program as long as you can to get the best use out of it is that the classes are free.
Right. The classes are free in ESL, and we are preparing students to transition out. Some students leave ESL and rush over to take their placement test, and they're put in developmental classes because they're not ready for curriculum classes at the college. Now, the developmental classes you have to pay for. You have to pay for the classes, you have to pay for the books. So the recommendation, and this is the student's choice, the recommendation is stay with ESL, finish strong, and then transition.
And we do have requirements as far as attendance.
Right, the classes are free, but we do say that there's an attendance policy because we want you to be successful and we want you to learn the language.
Now, there are also some supplemental classes that can go along with the regular English classes. Can you explain those to us?
Right, we have supplemental classes, so a student has to be in a traditional English class, but then we have supplemental classes, and those vary every semester. We have math classes, lab, TOEFL preparation, writing, pronunciation, distance learning. So depending on student needs, we offer a class. The distance learning class is like a homework class, and the students can take the work home with them and then come back and exchange their homework. The lab classes are primarily listening with Rosetta Stone, so it's working on the listening skills, but they can also practice math or writing. It's individualized.
So what happens after a student exits the ESL program? What does that look like?
We recommend for a student to be successful that they have placed above 9th grade level on the TABE. Those students have been the most successful when they leave our program. And then students, some will go on to take GD classes, some will take the CRC for an American credential, and then others we recommend they want to study at the college or at ECU. From ESL, they will go to PCC Global, and they will evaluate their transcripts and their credentials, and then they will go from PCC Global to the Assessment Center, where they'll be tested on their reading, math, and computer. And so from there, they will choose. Every student's situation is unique for a variety of reasons, and so before they leave ESL, I recommend that they come and talk to me and talk about some of their options and their educational goals.
All right, thanks Jan Fisher for being with us today.
Thank you, Gloria.
And remember, we do want each and every one of our students to be successful, and the first step to doing that is to complete your ESL program first. And here you'll find Miss Jessica Jaimes, who is the director of PCC Global. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
I understand that you, or your office, is not the first stop in transitioning to another program. So what is the process like?
Well, first, when students we encourage students to complete their ESL program. Once they've completed the program, they should go see Miss Jan Fisher, and she will assist them in setting up an appointment to come meet with my office.
And how do they go about applying?
When a student wants to become a curriculum student here, they need to go online and complete the application. Within 1 to 2 weeks, I will follow up that application with an email requesting more documentation, such as transcripts and ID and immigration verification.
And you said go online. Is there a website that they need to go to?
Yes, just the main PCC website, www.pittcc.edu, and there's a link at the top of that page to apply now.
Okay. And I understand there is a placement test involved?
Yes, we do require non-native English speakers to either submit TOEFL scores. If they can't, for whatever reason, take the TOEFL exam, we will allow them to take our placement test. Now, there is a minimum score requirement, so students who take our placement test must score into DRE 097. That's around 97 to 100 points minimum on the placement test for reading.
Now, students come to you for many different reasons. What do you do for the students who are not born and raised in this country? What kind of services do you offer them?
Well, first I verify all their documentation and make sure that they get the correct residency status as for tuition purposes, and also assist them with getting the translations and getting the transcripts in. So if they have a transcript that's not in English, they will need to submit their original transcript in their language, along with a certified English translation. If they're seeking credits for any of those courses, we will need course descriptions for each course that they want credit for, and those course descriptions also must be translated into English.
Of course, we do want all of our students to be successful, as you said, but can you be more specific as to why it is so important that they complete the ESL program before trying to transition?
Yes, this is very important. Completion of the ESL program will set them up for success. In PCC, we really push success. We want to set up a student in a position where when they take the course, that they'll be able to complete the course successfully. And unfortunately, if the English language is not up to the minimum requirements, it makes it very difficult to complete the coursework in that class.
Mm-hmm. Good advice there. And if a student has a visa which doesn't allow them to study, how can we help that student?
Well, my recommendation is to come see me, come to my office, make an appointment. They can always drop by, but it's always good to make an appointment in the event that I'm not there. And I will discuss with them their options. There are some options to do change of status. So once they come see me, we can discuss all the options for that case.
Anything else our students need to know?
Well, in my office, we have an open door policy. So at any time, if a student has any questions regarding going from ESL to curriculum, they're welcome to drop by my office, make an appointment with me, give me a phone call or an email, and I will respond as quick as possible.
Thanks for being with us, Jessica.
Thank you for having me.
Now remember, we do want all of our students to be successful, so be sure to complete the ESL program first. For Pitt Community College English as a Second Language program, I'm Gloria Maggio.